Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary. This time the third and final game in the 3-game series between Brad OK spawning as the yellow Terran, and his opponent White Ra spawning as the red Protoss. The map will be Metalopolis, and we have close starting positions here. A lot of times the strategy is really dictated in these 4-player maps based on the starting positions of the two players. On this strategy, if you have cross positions on opposite sides, west and east, or north and south, you often see a macro game develop. If you have close positions by air, sometimes see some harass, some drops, maybe some airplay, but these close positions by ground may see one or both players try to push out early and end this game 3 right away. See, Brad OK was able to even up the series, knocking off White Ra in that second game on Xel'Naga Caverns with an epic defense at his natural, and then was just able to macro up and push across the field as White Ra was not able to get enough units to really defend against it. Gave the quick GG, hoping to move on to game 3, which is where we are now, and hoping to take this 3-game series. So we see White Ra throwing down the 12 gateway there, and the barracks on the way for Brad OK as well. And now White Ra's moving across the field with that probe, going to be able to make it into the base of Brad OK, going to be able to see the barracks and the timing of this gas, perhaps do a little bit of harassment as well. And we'll soon see that they are in these close positions. We'll see how that really affects the strategy of White Ra. He may go for an extra gate early on, or try to pump out some early units and prevent any sort of 2 or 3 racks aggression from Brad OK. So he is doing work on these SCVs, pulling off as soon as those shields go down, and it looks like the SCV of Brad OK will be making it into the base of White Ra. Going to see the gateway and the 1 gas at the moment. So this SCV going to try to see the second structure put up by White Ra, whether it's a cybernetics core, and it looks like it will be, or sometimes another gate and some early zealot pressure will come out. So both of these players just doing laps in the opposing player's base, and White Ra's throwing down a second gas. So Brad OK is going to be able to see that, and he's going to know that some higher tech is going to be the goal for White Ra, and we'll see how he responds. Looks like he is just on the 1 gas at the moment. If we look at the harvester count is 19 to 15, so White Ra using this chrono boost on the Nexus, getting up an advantage in workers at the start. Brad OK still in the base of White Ra. Out comes a Zealot in just a moment, but the SCV going to be faster than that Zealot, so it can continue to scout if he chooses. We do not have Warp Gate tech on the way yet for White Ra, so very interesting. He did have enough minerals at the start to get up that Warp Gate tech, and it actually took him a little while to do that, so perhaps thrown off by that SCV in his base, and we'll see whether that factors in, whether he has enough units to defend against any early aggression if Brad OK decides to push out. See Brad OK getting up this factory, about to complete, so maybe he went tanks in the first game. They were not very effective against the Colossi of White Ra, and it looks like he's going for a 1-1-1 build here. No add-ons on any of these buildings yet. Getting out a Hellion, so just producing Marines and Hellions at this point, throwing down a bunker as well, so wants to defend against any early aggression from White Ra. White Ra getting up a robotics facility and adding a second gate, and now currently boosting out this Warp Gate tech. Again, that Warp Gate started a little bit late. Check the production structure, or the production tab here. Brad OK just now getting up his second refinery, so even though he's going with this 1-1-1 build, he's not going to be able to throw down any tech labs and get higher tech here without that second gas up and running. So he's going to be quite limited to what he can get out. Looks like he's going for a few Hellions at this point, as well as a medevac. He has supply capped himself at this point as well, so not able to produce that third Hellion quite yet. He may be going for a Hellion drop here, and until he gets this refinery up and saturated, he's not going to be able to do any sort of add-ons, any siege tank or Banshee play. So White Ra now has his 2 gateways up, about to finish Warp Gate tech, and producing just a number of early units. Sentries coming out early. Again, you want to do that as a Protoss player, really bank up that energy in the engagements with Marines and Marauders later in the game. You'll want those force fields and the Guardian Shield. Looks like we have a medevac pushing out here with 3 Hellions, so going to try to bypass these towers. So smart job by Brad OK. He knows that his opponent might have these towers, and White Ra does, so he's going to make sure he stays out of the line of sight of those. The Observer coming in for White Ra, going to see the 1-1-1 build here, as well as all the Marines and a command center. So White Ra may be feeling a little bit more stable at this point and well defended, since he knows that his opponent doesn't have much in the way of army, maybe trying to tech up, but he could also suspect some sort of drop or Banshee play, so keeping his army at home. We saw charge lots in the first 2 games for White Ra, very good tech against the Marines and Marauders, closing that distance quickly, as well as against the siege tanks. And it looks like we have that medevac finally making his way over here, all these rally points finally making his way into the back of the base of White Ra. White Ra getting up a robotics bay, so maybe attempting to push out an early Colossus. In come these Hellions, giving away their position with a fast attack there. A mistake to attack that pylon, as it's going to give White Ra the opportunity to move all of those probes on the mineral line off of it, and not much damage being done by Bradoke. So sort of gave away his position on the drop there by attacking that pylon. Lost control a little bit. Now coming in again, and this is not good, as he's going to get 1 Hellion picked off and medevac down to 24 HP. And White Ra has to be feeling very good that he stopped that harassment. He knew his opponent was up to something. Whenever Terran opens with this 1-1-1 build and Tech Labs, you know they're going for something tricky, and if you're able to stop it, you can often macro up. Getting up another base here is White Ra, now pushing across the field with the 1 Colossus, and we'll be throwing down a pylon here, so going to be able to warp in units off these 3 gates and the robotics facility and apply some pressure to the front door of Bradoke. Bradoke does have the order command complete, but I'm not sure it's going to be too safe to throw it down at the natural yet. If we check out the army tab, it is 1550 to 1350, but a lot of the minerals for Bradoke's army are in this medevac in the southern portion of the map here. He could perhaps drop a little bit later here, though we do see a Stalker doing a good job patrolling in and out of that smoke, and another good job placing that pylon inside the smoke. This SCV going to try to get a glimpse of the army of White Ra. Not sure if he saw that Colossus. If he did, we could be seeing Vikings on the way. But so far, Bradoke throwing up another few barracks, getting very high on minerals. We see he's at 600 minerals, not yet able to place down that orbital command either. Doing a switch on the starport and the barracks here. Barracks going to be landing on the Tech Lab. Starport down on that reactor, perhaps pushing out some Vikings to take on the Colossus. We see White Ra researching that extended thermal lance and getting out a 2nd Colossus, going to be rallied to that army, and maybe going for some sort of timing push here with 2 Colossus, and as soon as that extended thermal lance finishes, it looks like the Hellions have been dropped in the back of the base of White Ra, so we'll see whether he can do anything with those. Now coming in here, not giving away their position this time, no blue flame on those Hellions, getting a quick surround with the probes here, as well as the Stalker trying to take them down. Colossus coming in a little bit late there, but the probes able to clean that up. If we check out the units lost tab, it is 600 compared to 200, so both players just going back and forth. Bradoke trying to get in position with siege tanks, as well as these Vikings and the Raven here. Raven putting down a point defense drone, going to absorb a lot of attacks from those Stalkers until the energy runs out on the drone. And the Vikings coming in trying to pick off this Colossus, quite good against those massive units, the armored units, doing 28 damage with the 2 attacks combined. And White Ra pulling back with the low Colossus there. Now Bradoke moving out again. If White Ra can engage while these siege tanks are not yet sieged up, siege tanks taking a few seconds to get sieged up, and these Zealots are able to close that distance before they're able to do too much damage. Down goes the Colossus to those Vikings, but now Bradoke does not have many units to defend against these sentries, the Stalkers, and the few Zealots. If White Ra does a good job focusing down these remaining units, he could push in here into the front base of Bradoke. Bradoke pulling a number of SCVs off the line to try to defend against this push. We see he has a number of Marauders and Marines coming out as well, but White Ra just overwhelming him with that proxy pylon, pushing up here, and Bradoke having to give the GG. So game 3 here goes to White Ra, able to win this best of 3 series 2 games to 1. Bradoke did a good job defending in that second game, able to push out and even it up at 1 apiece. But his harassment in the game here and in the first game with those Banshees just did not do enough damage, and White Ra with a nice timing attack off those 3 gates and the few Colossus out was just able to push in and punish Bradoke for trying to get a little bit too cute with his tech here. He went for Ravens and siege tanks and did not get up enough barracks to really support the high tech. So you want Marauders and Marines to sort of tank some damage, allow those siege tanks time to shell the enemy units, but White-Ra was able to come in, focus down the siege tanks quickly, and then just overwhelm his Terran opponent. So pretty good series from these two players. If you enjoyed this cast, check out my channel Matron StarCraft at youtube.com. Blizzard just released their patch notes for 1.2, the PTR. I encourage you to check those out as well. Lots of balance changes. We have Protoss getting a few buffs, and a nerf or two to Terran and Zerg should make things interesting, as in GSL, maybe Blizzard's been watching that, seeing that most of the Protoss players are losing out to their Terran and Zerg counterparts. So check out those patch notes. Too many things to name, but chat channels will be good as well. So as always, thanks for watching this one. Take care.